Hi guys, very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Ajay and we are today going to talk about how to use the arrays in the Access VBA. Using the Access VBA in Access, and this is going to be the video number 411, and we're going to talk about this from the very beginning. Actually it's going to be an introduction, and if you are following the channel, which is this youtube.com/c/Ajay Kumar Parmar, then you know that we have so far covered all these videos on the Excel VBA, MS Access and Access VBA subjects, right? If you're new to the channel, not a problem, let me just introduce you to this channel. First of all, thank you so much for landing up here and for choosing my channel. And now it's time to give you the return gift. So I want to tell you that you just go here and find out all these different 44 playlists, beautifully designed for you, so that you don't have to really search the videos by its number, because we have got around 400 plus videos, right? I understand if you go and start finding the videos, it will be very difficult. So guys, any title which starts with the Access VBA, it's going to be about the Access VBA. Any title which starts with the Excel VBA, it is going to be it is going to talk about the Excel VBA. Anything which starts with only with the Excel, it only talks about the Excel. Now it can be when you click on that, for example, Excel arrays most powerful formulae. So this is going to be a mixture of basic videos, intermediate videos and advanced videos. And similarly for the Access, if it is only Access, like you can see here, this is Access VBA introduction tutorial. So when you click on that, you get to see here some videos that absolutely going to be on the Access VBA. And any title which doesn't have the VBA word but only the Access, that means we are going to talk about only the front end of the Access, right? Now I have already talked about the Excel VBA arrays. As you can see here in front of you, this is a Excel VBA arrays playlist, and you get to see here, I think 6 videos, right? So 6 videos, and these are the basic level 1, basic level 2. So first 2 videos are must for any programmer if he or she is not aware of the arrays. Now the good thing is that today I'm not going to talk about the Excel VBA. I'm going to talk about the Access VBA, right? A lot of you have requested, emailed me in the past also, that you want many videos on the Access VBA as well. So there are a lot of videos, but yes, if you are just going to do the comparison with the Excel and the Access, of course we don't have that much of that many numbers, but I promise we're going to talk about this here on, and I will keep coming back and I will keep on talking about the Access VBA. Okay, now the good thing about the Excel VBA and the Access VBA is that the concept remains the same. Absolutely, it remains the same. So if you have watched these 2 videos, then this video is going to make a lot of sense to you. I will start this video also from the scratch. Now the only thing which I would be interested in this video is going to going to specifically talk about the difference between using the how to use the VBA in the Access and how to use the this array VBA in the Excel, right? Now otherwise when you run it, when you make the programs, that the syntax wise everything remains same. That's a good thing. Now it's very quite normal, because when you open any Excel, how do you actually so when you declare any array, then how do you actually use those the arrays? Obviously you refer those arrays to a worksheet, and in that worksheet obviously you have some cells, right? So here's something you write here. If I write here ABC and you want to make an array which should have ABC, obviously you're going to use the commands like cells or maybe the range, right? And that's how you use it. But in the Access, guys, we can't do that, right? Because in the Access you have a table, you don't have a spreadsheet. It's not an Excel sheet, right? It almost looks like a sheet. So basically these are my field names: book ID, book name, authors, and these are all my basically the records, right? So I have here, this is the second record, this is the third record, and overall if you can see here, I have total 8 records, right? And the values which you see here inside these field names, these are all called the field values. So what we are going to do today is, I will start the basics. I will definitely start from the scratch how to declare the arrays in the Access, and then the important part is that how to use it in the Access. Because for somebody who knows the how to define the arrays in the Excel, this is going to be a the same session for that person, and I really don't want that, right? Because the main thing is, when you know when you know how to declare the things, when you know how to work with the arrays, it is also important for you that basically how to capture the values, how to access the table values, how to use those Access table values in your arrays, right? Like in this case we are going to use these book name values, joins this Excel, SQL, DB query. So we are going to create an array, which is obviously, this is going to be a very basic video, and in that I'm going to tell you that how to use the table. in the arrays. So let's go ahead and make the tool, make this code actually. So let's go to the Visual Basic, and here in this module 3 I'm going to write my program. So I'm going to start this basics, for example. The first thing is how you declare the arrays. Now you declare the arrays by giving it a name, any name you can give, and then use the open parenthesis and close parenthesis, right? And that's it. And then you have to give the data type, guys. So which data type I would like to give? Well, my book name is obviously it's in string, so I'm gonna give it string. String is for the text or maybe for the alphanumeric, right? You can declare it as a variant, integer, long, that doesn't matter. That depends basically what kind of a data you are holding. If you're holding some number, then obviously you can use the integer and the long. But if you're not sure about the data type, then you can use the variant as well, right? By the way, if what I'm saying is doesn't make any sense to you, then please go and check out my video, life of a variable. Okay, life of a variable in VBA, and this video you will see under the playlist called Excel VBA introduction series. There are like I think 8-9 videos there, and this is one of the video, right? Okay, now what is this second thing we want to do? So I have declared this my array, but I'm going to define here some number. I'm going to give it a number. How many basically books I have here in my table? They are 8, so I'm going to define it as 8. That means that when you run this, so if I just run this, let me show you. I'm going to put the watch code on this. When you put the watch code on this, you get to see here this plus sign, and look at this, guys. So we have created basically the 8 positions. Now by default the array starts with the 0, and that's why it's going to give you actually 9 indexes, 9 places, 9 where you can actually park your vehicle, right? In technical term, you can use your basically the values, right? So I have a choice. Either I can remove the 0 and I can start the numbering from 1 by writing here option base 1. If you don't want to use the option base 1 on the top of this the module, before you write any macro, you just need to declare it that if you run it now, then what happens, your array will start with the 1. Okay, it's not going to start with the 0. The 0, by the way, sometimes confuses, right? I understand that. So that's how you can actually use the option based 1. If you don't want to use that, not a problem, just declare this as a 7 then, because 0 to 7 will actually cover the 8 items. Choice is yours. I'm telling you both the options, right? Okay, now once you have declared the array, now what is the next thing I want to do? The next thing I want to do is, guys, I definitely want to get into this table, which is a bookstore table. Now in Access, how do you define that? Because in Excel it's very easy. Well, in Access also it is easy, but it's just that people are more actually, my experience is that you won't find many people who knows Excel VBA very well, but they are not so good in Access VBA. I mean, you find very less people who actually knows both the VBAs. And trust me, if you want to be a good analyst, if you want to be really want to be like a superstar in your team, in your office, you must learn the Access VBA as well. In fact, it opens the gates for the other things as well, guys. If you are very good in the Access, then you can be a champion in the SQL Server. Well, I'm not saying that one should first learn the Access if they want to learn the SQL Server. It's not that, but still it helps a lot, trust me on that. Because and especially when you collaborate the Access with the Excel, you can make so many dynamic things, because you would be knowing the advanced Excel, you would be knowing the Excel VBA, you would be knowing the Access front end, you would be knowing the Access VBA. Wow, 4 things, and you can make all those zigzag kind of a combinations, right? You can use the Access with the Excel VBA, you can use the Access VBA with the Excel. In fact, I have many videos on that topic as well. If you just go and check the Excel VBA connecting Excel with the Access, and then Access VBA connecting Access with the Excel, you will find that, right? So in Excel, I can simply refer to the cells. I can say that run the loop, and it goes to one cell one by one, C1, C3, C2, C3, C4, like that. But in Access, you can't do that. So in Access, what we will do is, first of all, you define your table. Before that, defining your table, I'm going to define my database, which is DB as DO database. DAO is actually your data access object library, which is always by default on if you're using 2007 or the onward versions, right? You don't have to go to the tool and the reference. This DAO is a default library. I'm not sure whether it was the default library in 2003. I guess it was, but prior in the 2010 and the before 2010 series, I think the ADO was the one, but I'm not sure, so I really can't say much on that. But 2007, you don't have to do anything. 2010, 2013, 16, which I'm using, use it like this, right? So now this is how you define your database. So I'm going to define my DB as current DB. Okay, so DB is going to be referred to as my current database, which again has a name called DB. It has nothing to do with this basically. I mean, I think I should have given it a different name, but that's fine. So now once you have done that, the next thing you're going to define is that what is your table. So table actually is treated as, it is considered as a record set in the Acess VBA. Record set is simply means that the piece of information, that information can be small, that information can be huge, while Acess can store up to 2 GB of the data. So that's, I think, is I won't say that it's really something which is, you know, for any programmer would be convenient, right? But I won't say that it's neither, you know, that small, right? It's really big. 2 GB is really big. But yes, for a company like Amazon or maybe Flipkart or any other company, you know, where you are doing the transactions, thousands, not even thousands, millions of transactions are happening every day. Of course, we have a limit. We can't use then Access. Then you know, go to the other sites, the higher sites of the database like SQL Server and then a lot of other stuff, right? Well, so record set is simply you consider it as a table, information basically, right? A query can also be a record set. If you're going to fetch some information from the query and you're going to put it in some table, and that information will become, you know, by default your record set, right? So this is how you write set your record set equals to, then you're going to open this record set because we want to work with this, and I'm going to open this record set and then I'm going to open it with the bookstore name. So I'm going to write here bookstore. That's my table name, right? So I just use it like this. Now we need to run this loop so that we should be able to capture all the arrays one by one. So what we will do in this case is I'm going to say that do while not record set end of the file. EUF stands for the end of the file. Now when you run this loop, so what happens, it starts with the first record. So I'm going to write here move first, and then here what we will do is before I run this, I'm simply going to show you that how it is going to work. So arrays.fields, what is your field name? Basically your field name actually is book name. You can see in the background, right? It's a book name. So under this book name field, I want to actually capture all the values, right? They're all my books, basically these books I'm talking about, guys, right? So that's how when you run this loop. So if I'm going to run this loop, see what will happen. We go. So you got the SQL and then you got the another, which is again SQL. Oh boy, it's not moving, right? Now you see that why I'm getting SQL again. Well, because you didn't actually moving your record, so you should have moved here, move next. Okay, once you capture the first record, which is this record, then you should go to the next. So now if I'm going to run this F5 again, I got the SQL, I got the joint, and then I got the DB query, I got the mountain. So I'm actually now, you know, it's not the same thing coming again and again. So basically my cursor is moving, but I still have one problem. If I just run it and show you again, it starts with the SQL. It doesn't start with the joints and Excel and then SQL. So basically we need to actually take the help of our cursor. You know, the cursor type has to be chosen here. So right comma here, press control spacebar, and this is how you would get to see right here add not the add sorry your DB open and OP. Maybe you can write DB OP, and these are basically the 4 types of the cursors you're going to use here. Open, dynamic, dynasect, forward, and snapshot. You can do a lot of you can read the articles on the Microsoft website that why they're basically used. They are very powerful, and they're especially used when basically your access is on the shared drive and users, you have the multiple users, they are all accessing your Access database, the table information from their own systems, right? Well, anyways, I will not get into that, but for the time being, what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare this as a dataset, right? So what happens now, if I just run the code here again, you will see that I got my first book name, right? So the cursor is going to behave properly. It will start from the scratch and now it will move forward. So you can see here everything is in sequence, right? Once you have that thing in the sequence, what I will do now, I obviously do not want the message box. I wanted to actually use the array. So this array, which is this array, I want to actually utilize, I want to fill in all the indexes of my array. So I'm going to use my array here. Okay, and then you're going to define here maybe some variable. Let's say I'm going to define it as j equals to obviously fields, and then whatever the field we have defined it, book name, it's case insensitive language, so no worries, you just write it whatever way you want. and now we have this. So obviously I have to declare the j as well, guys, here, because j is, otherwise you will have the error. So j is going to start from the long, and I'm gonna, and I think I declared 2 times. Alright, let me just correct that, and I'm going to start with a 1. Okay, and once you have j as 1, j has to be incremented by 1. That's your loop, basically. That's your loop, guys. Now when you run this, let's see. Do while not record end of the file. So run this loop until you are on the last record. Run this loop till the time you don't find the last row, the last record. That's what it, the loop is all about. So we're gonna run this, and when it runs, so what is the first index in the array? Well, j is going to be 1, so I should have here a value of joins. Look at this. So my array is filled with the joins. Then j is going to be incremented by 1. So j is going to be 2, and then when you run this, this is how you get to see here all the values. Perfect. So that's how. Let me just increase the width of this. So guys, this is how you basically use the Access table values in the arrays, or I would say that this is how you use the arrays in the Access VBA. Right. So we are done with this. You see that loop is finished, and there we go. Now the important point is that many of you must be wondering. Well, if you haven't thought about this, then you should think, because it's very natural to think on this particular part, dim array my array 8, because I have defined here 8. What if tomorrow the table can expand? So maybe I can have one more new value here. Okay, and maybe here I just, let's say I have one more new workbook, and this is also this is written by, let's say, AJ, and one more, actually I write here the book, and this is book is all about the, let's say, the dummies, and here I'm going to write here maybe AJ. What happens when you run this macro? You think that your macro will run properly? Of course not, right? Because your my array can hold only 8 values, so you will have all the values coming here, but it's not going to work for the last 2 values. And this is where actually I'm going to tell you today what you need to do in that situation. Guys, I can write here 10, the problem will be sorted out. But then who would have that much of a time that every time you expand the table, and before you write your program, you come here and keep on expanding it, keep on resizing the table? Or maybe if you are on a if you have gone on a vacation, right, and somebody else is in your absence is taking care of all these things, and he doesn't know, she doesn't know that the VBA so well, then what will you do? So we have to actually change that. We have got to ensure that how to change this 8 to the how to convert this, basically the static nature of this array to the dynamic one. So how to do that? It's very simple. I'm just going to check out the last record. What is the last record of this table? And I'm gonna put that value in the variable. I'm gonna use that variable in my array, right? So how are we gonna do that? So once you actually open the table, this record set. Now in this record set, I'm going to declare maybe last record equals to what you're going to do. You're going to find out the last row number. So this is how you write. We're going to declare the record set, and we're going to write here record count. So tell me how many records I have, and obviously I have to declare this, so I'm just going to declare it here, and as long, double, whatever you want to write it. That depends. I don't have that much of a big data, even the byte would do. So yeah, that's how it is. And if I just run it, first of all, I want to make sure that this is going to give me the answer as 10. Right, so this is giving me answer as 1. That's very funny, right? So Access, you really got to be very, very attentive. And it personally, in my opinion, Access is more tricky, right? It's more, I would say difficult, but yes, definitely there's a lot of surprises. Now why you getting here 1? That's the first thing, because your cursor might be on the first record. So first you got to go on the last record, right? So how are you gonna do that? Well, first before I capture this, I want to ensure that I should be on the move last. That's gonna take me to the last record. Now the moment I run this again, let me see that what it says now. Oh boy, you got the 10, right? So when you got the 10, you're gonna use this 10 in the arrays. Now how are you going to use that? Well, when you begin that, you keep this blank because you're not sure about your array. It can be 8, it can be 80, it can be 1000, it can be 2000, right? So in this way we are not sure, but once we calculated the last record, I'm going to use the redeem word. This is how you read the redimension to your array. This is mandatory for you, and then redeem is must for you. Without redeem it's not going to work. So now you can use the last record here. Okay, this is how we get it. First we define it as blank, we capture the size, and then we gonna put that size, using the, of course, the variable, using the redeem. Okay, now if I run this, I hope everything goes fine. I'm not sure, but let's just run this. Till the time I haven't run redeem, you see that my array is totally blank. There's no plus sign here because it's blank. The moment you run it, it has its dimensions, and there we go. Got here 10 values. Very nice, right? So now before you run this, please ensure that you should be on the first record, because then what happens from this move last, it may happen your loop will not run, because if you're going to be only, if you're going to be on the last record before you start this do while, naturally when this condition is going to run, it will find your record set on the last row, end of the file, and obviously nothing will happen because you have achieved for which you actually have written the loop. So that's why before I run this, I want to ensure I should be on the first loop. Now let's go ahead and let us check these values one by one. All right, I think we have done it, because I see that the values are coming correct in the watch window. You can see here. So there we go, and let me run this quickly. There we go, and finally, oops, I'm so sorry, let me just rerun it quickly. There we go. Right, you can see here, guys, that we got all the book names. Perfect, guys, right? We got it. So that's how you use the arrays. Now just in case if I'm going to delete maybe something, let me just delete all these records. Okay, so I just delete that. Okay, yes, I want to delete it. Thank you so much, and I'm gonna run this now. So I just run this again. Here we go. Put the breakcode here. Let me check. You can see here, perfect. Array is perfect. It has resized itself to 6 from 10. So that is how, guys, you use the arrays in the Access. Right? So that's it, and we're gonna talk more about in the coming sessions, and I'm gonna talk about one of the project as well, which will use the arrays, and then you will understand the the power, the strength of these arrays. They are very dynamic. Or personally, they are always my favorite. You talk about the Access VBA arrays, you talk about the Excel VBA arrays, or you talk about the Excel arrays. They are all my favorite. They are like magic, right? They can do anything. Anyways, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will subscribe to the channel to support me, and we're gonna talk something more in the coming videos soon. Thank you so much for watching, and stay fit. Have a wonderful weekend.